Hello everyone, in this video we're going to take a look at transformations of quadratics. So a function is a quadratic function if the degree of the polynomial is 2, and quadratic functions make parabolas, which we see in this picture here. So in this unit we're going to be graphing quadratic functions, and they're called parabolas. They're always going to look pretty similar to what you see here. And today's lesson, we're going to look at transformations, which means we're going to take this parabola, we're going to move it around. So it could get shifted left or right, up or down. It could also get stretched, reflected, but all quadratics are going to look like a U shape or an upside down U shape, okay? So whenever we see x squared, that is a quadratic function, okay? Anything that makes this look different, so if I have any other numbers, those are going to cause transformations. So here is an example, and we're going to see some transformations from this. So remember that our parent function is f of x is equal to x squared. So anything that is not x squared is going to cause something to happen here. So we see the x right here, and we see the square here. Everything else that we see is going to cause some kind of transformation, okay? So whenever we see a negative in front of the entire thing, what that's going to do is that's going to cause a reflection over the x-axis. Okay, so whenever we see a negative in front, outside of parentheses, that will be a reflection over the x-axis. All right, the next thing, whenever we see a number in front of the parentheses and it's multiplying, okay, what that is going to do is it's going to cause a vertical, either a stretch or a shrink. Okay, and this thing is going to stretch if that a is anything bigger than 1. It's going to shrink if a is anything less than 1. Okay, next thing that we're going to see, if there is a number being added or subtracted inside of the parentheses, this h right here. Okay, so if I see a minus h, what that's going to cause is a horizontal shift. Okay, so that's going to either be shifting us left or right. Okay, so if we saw a positive, if we see something positive, it's actually going to shift left. It's actually the opposite of what we would think. If we see a negative, it's actually going to shift to the right. Okay, and then the last one, if we see a number out here where the k is, that is going to cause a vertical shift. Okay. And again, if this is positive, it's actually going to do exactly what we think it will. It will shift up. Okay. And then if it's a negative, it is going to shift down. So there's some of our transformations. All right. Something to notice here. Notice that the things that are outside of the parentheses, those are causing vertical transformations. So that k on the outside is causing us to shift up or down, which is a vertical move. The negative here is causing a reflection over the x-axis, which is actually flipping us either up or down, which is a vertical move. This a out here is going to stretch or shrink vertically, okay? But numbers on the inside, or things on the inside, are going to cause horizontal transformations, which will either shift us left or right in this case. Okay, so get these down, know what each of these do. Here are a couple more transformations that we might see. If I see a negative on the inside of the parentheses like this right here, that negative is always going to cause a reflection over the y-axis. Okay, and then if we see a number here that is multiplying, okay, multiplying is always going to cause either a stretch or a shrink. So this will be a horizontal stretch or shrink. Okay, and just like shifts, it's actually going to do the opposite of what we think. Okay, if this number is actually bigger than 1, actually back up, if the number is smaller than 1, that's going to cause a stretch. If the number is bigger than 1, it's going to cause a shrink. Okay, so there's all of our different types of transformations. You need to know those, so make sure you understand them. Okay, on the next slide, we're going to actually apply these transformations. So here are some examples, and this is what you should be able to do. You should be able to look at a function and just recognize what transformations are happening, okay? And remember, x squared is the parent function. So x squared, anything that is not x squared is going to cause a transformation. So the first thing I see right here is this negative, all right? And if a negative is not inside of the parentheses, that is going to be a reflection over the x-axis. Okay, the last thing we see is we see this -5 out here. Since it's not inside of the parentheses, that will be a vertical shift, and it's going to shift down. So I can just say it's a shift down by 5. Okay, and this actually helps us graph this thing, so we know that it's going to be facing upside down, and it's going to be down, just move down 5 units. All right, the next one, again, x squared is our parent, so this x and this square. Anything that is not that is going to cause a transformation. So this 2/3 right here, okay, that is going to be a vertical shrink. And we have to give the scale factor. We're going to say by 2/3. Okay, the +2 on the inside, that is going to be a horizontal shift. Since it's positive, it's actually going to go to the left. So we're going to have a horizontal shift left by 2. Okay, and then the last thing we see this +1 out here. That is going to be a vertical shift, and I can just write shift up 1. And there is all of our transformations on that one. Okay, the next one, again, x squared is our parent, so this 6 right here is new, all right? It's something added to it, and that is going to be a horizontal shrink, okay? So we have a horizontal shrink by 6, okay? The other thing we see is that -3 on the end, and that is going to cause this thing to shift down 3. And then the last example, again, x squared is the parent function. So the first thing I see here is I see this 5 out in front. That is going to be a vertical stretch by 5. And the other thing we see is that negative sign on the inside. So whenever there's a negative on the inside, that is going to be a reflection over the y-axis. And that's it. So you should be able to identify transformations like this. And we should also be able to work backwards. Okay, so if I tell you what transformations are happening, you should be able to apply those and create an equation for it. All right, so the two things we see here, we see that we have a vertical stretch by 6, okay, and we're shifting this thing to the right by 8, okay? So if I have a vertical stretch by 6, I know that there is going to be a 6 on the outside of parentheses. Okay, and then if we're shifting to the right 8, we're going to subtract 8 from the x value, and this thing has to be squared because it's a quadratic. And we're going to write it as f of x is equal to, that is our answer here. Okay, the next one, we have a reflection over the x-axis. That means we're going to have a negative in front, and we're shifting down 5. So here's what this one's going to look like. F of x is equal to negative x squared minus 5. Okay, so since nothing horizontally is happening here, I don't need parentheses. Okay, the next one, we have a horizontal stretch by 1/7. So that means we're going to have 1/7 inside of parentheses, and we're shifting up 8 to plus 8 on the outside. So here we have f of x is equal to parentheses 1/7x squared plus 8. And then the last one, shift to the left 10 and shift down 2. So that means we're going to have a plus 10 on the inside of parentheses and minus 2 on the outside. So f of x is equal to x plus 10 squared minus 2. Okay, so two things that you should be able to do today. You should be able to identify transformations if you're given an equation. You should also be able to create an equation if you're given the transformations. So please go check out the assignment on Canvas. Let me know if you have any questions. Have a great day.